let's send a message everywhere. Let's also turn on the light. It's a little bit dark at this time. Let's see. Hope it's better. Should be better now. Great. Okay. Now let me do some notifications. Let's put some emoji. Okay, notifications are sent. Let's go and start this kind of a screen, right? And let's move over. Actually, let's open project, Magento database, changelog in a new window. Okay. This one we're gonna close. We're gonna close all this stuff because we're gonna start with some fresh things. Let's go. So, what we're gonna do today? We're gonna write our own rows implementation, right? So we have some test data already available, right? We don't need right now open the database version. Let me see, do I have a good view? Okay, 175 is good enough, I think. Let's see if I run this test. Is it compiling its own? Because I remember I was doing some changes recently to my environment. So just to make sure, okay, so now it does recompile of everything. Let's drink some water. Okay, it's running and looks like this is going on and it outputs some information. So, okay. Right now, let's say I can see that it parses correctly some of the data in such a way. But what I want to do, right? I wanna create something a little bit different. So I'm gonna create probably a small vector. We will see a little bit later why I'm not using regular vector, because probably it's a little bit too expensive to instantiate all the time. With small vector, at least we have stack being used all the time instead of allocating. So it could be a good idea to work with it in such a way, especially as small vector basically will gonna drop out of scope every single time, so it's gonna be all the time on stack. so there should be 0 allocations in such a way. Okay, so this one we know, like, there should be 2 rows, right, with the value 1 and value 2, and this was for partial update of entity.json. I don't like actually what's inside of this event, so let's maybe update it a little bit, right? So let's take a look. We have partial update of entity.json. So entity.json is actually quite bad update in my opinion. Let's gather better data, right? So let's go with that one, and let's go back to this test case. We need to start all our Docker containers. Oh yeah, I forgot. I put it inside of this test directory here. So here we are. Done. Now let's run a test. Let's actually check how it goes. So it's 3307. I need actually 181 because partial update events are only available in MySQL 8, and I want to enable those partial updates, right? So I want to make sure that they pass. So let's see, does it work or not? The test passes. Probably in, you know what, I'm gonna do it another way. I'm just gonna copy this one here, and I wanna do cargo test. And I'm gonna pass environment variables in front because for me it's gonna be easier. Yeah, replication reader. Okay. Did it do any output? No. It rechanges in MySQL, but it doesn't output anything. Okay, good. Let's do it one more time here. Then, okay, so we have delete rows event, we have write event, we have partial update rows event of what? Of which table? Of entity.json. Okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So let's copy it over. And let's change the data. Partial update entity.json. Let's see if it's any better. And let's run a test. So I don't understand why it's wrong event data. I expected it to be something different, so let me quickly check. So do we have partial update rows? Yeah, it passes this one correctly. Maybe I provide the wrong table? No, this table is correct. So why it doesn't do a thing related to partial update rows event? Let's go on here and let's go into the next. And probably we'll have to go all the way into the binary row. Let's see where it is here. So let's go into the binary row, into serialization, because I expect this one to hit here. Okay, it hits here. So it tells that has shared image is true. And what is the table info? Flags unknown, database name no. Column count is actually 5. Why 5? Wait, it's 5 its length. Okay, we don't know what is a column count. Okay, let's step through it. So I see a lot of people recently followed my channel. Thank you very much. So yeah, this is interesting. I didn't look for that one. Actually, I wanted just to step over probably. Okay. So now the partial columns are there, and it tells how many of them. So there's basically 2 of them, and here goes through partial columns, right? So let's put a breakpoint here. Okay, this partial is true. But why it's numeric? This is quite funny. What do I actually output? Wait a second. Oh, of course. Because I don't output the second row. So let's stop the debugging and let's check. Okay, let's close the debugger output, build output, and so on. So okay, now I see actually JSON div as a second column in the second row. So the first one contains value ID, right? Okay, so this is a good idea to have something like this because we know how it's going to be parsed. But I'm also interested in, but we'll probably take a look at it a little bit later. So we have different types of events. So let's start probably with the simplest one, right? Let's start with a write rows event. So we're gonna do this write entity itself. Let's start a test with that one. So okay, this one works and we know how it works. So we're gonna name this test converts single write events into event for entity. Okay, let's go. The name of the event is write entity table. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a new struct, right? And we're gonna name it simple binary rows. What it's gonna contain internally rows event. It's gonna be rows event data. Okay. Good. And what else it will have? Okay, so it will have rows event data. Rows events are identified under this enum. Okay, oh yeah, I need to specify at lifetime. So let's create a new lifetime A. And then we need to specify also table. And it should be table map event. And probably it's gonna be a reference, right, to table map event, because we're not gonna pass an original. Okay. So rows event and table, and this should be enough for us to build something from it. So let's make it public. Let's implement a constructor for simple binary row struct. Okay. Probably I need to have something like this. Also data with timeline of A and table reference to it, right? Table map event with the timeline of A, and it will return self with the timeline of A. Okay, we probably don't need then this definition here. Oh yeah, okay. Probably like this is more than enough. And then it's gonna return back simple binary rows with rows event and table. Let's see if we can create it. So we're gonna use everything from parent. Hey Viper gamers, nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, everything is good, going good. Thank you. Okay, so let's do some other stuff here. Where do we go then? Wanted to say hello and completely forgot what I wanted to do next. I think I wanted to instantiate this new struct. Hey Viper, well, what kind of project you have an issue with? Because I'm not good enough at everything, so... Okay, simple binary rows. So it should be event, and then it should be table. And it should be a reference to it. Shall I name it like this, or maybe I should name it a little bit differently? Okay. Then the next thing that we need to have is we need to have a struct called simple binary row, which will contain values. That's gonna be probably a small vector. Oh, I don't have it installed. Okay, let me add it to cargo, because small vec is quite a good tool to keep everything on stack. Okay, let's see. We have some binary rows here. Okay, we need to reload our IDE. I don't like something about this layout. Maybe it shouldn't make everything that big when I run it, because yeah, like I don't see my code here. Let me see what layout can work actually best for it. So let's try to move it to right bottom maybe. Okay, it's basically stacks it on top only if something else is open. Okay, move to bottom left. Okay, let's just move to bottom left, and only when we need to access terminal we will access it. Okay, good. Hey Viper, I'm reading whatever you have over there. So you built your own virtual assistant in Python. Hey Viper, just multiplies this value by 60. Right, whatever value user enters, just multiply it by 60 and you are golden. Okay, let's go. Hey, what is this? Again in a lighted time. Lifetime, right? So we have to put it here, here. We'll remove from here. Okay, why build failed here again? What? Is on type. Ah, okay, I see. Can I just then return something like this? Okay, now it works. And test is running. Okay, so it instantiated stuff. Viper Gaming, don't worry. Everyone has a moment like that. Anyway, it was fun. Fun exercise. So let's see. Okay. Simple binary rows. Do I need to put anything else here? Okay, let's go. Simple binary rows. Okay. What else did I want? I wanted to create also an iterator that returns back a single simple binary row. I installed this library called smallvec, so it puts it all on stack. So we're gonna have values as a smallvec of binlog value, actually of option of binlog value, because not every single binlog value will have it. Okay, it requires a timestamp. Okay, where it's used, let's see. When it's specified somewhere. Okay, it should be fine. Okay, it's good. I can actually test it quite well. We have some some water. Let's think about it. So I have some values there, and I have also binary JSON and binary JSON div itself. Okay, so how it's specified when you deserialize it, like does it inherit the lifetime from somewhere? So it has the same lifetime as deserializer. Okay, let's just go along with it, and let's just put a lifetime everywhere. So it's small vec of options, right? And this small vec will have a size as well, right? So the parameter is actually an array. So how do I define it? Let's see. Okay, so I define it as a small array. So let's provide it here. So it's gonna be an array of those values, and it's gonna be, let's put it at 12, just in case. So it's quite small vector with 12 items in it. Let's actually, you know what, let's extract it into constant or something like that. So let's do refactor. Let's introduce a constant in a file scope. Let's call it min well, it's not a minimal number, right? So it's stack size of binary row. So by default, like, it's gonna be able to hold 12 different values. And the thing is, the binlog value itself is kind of lifetime based, right? So it's based on the actual data of the event, but ideally, like, it will not live long enough to introduce any kind of memory issues. So that should be fine. Then we have simple binary rows, we have an event and so on. Another thing that we now need to introduce, we need to introduce a deserializer probably for it, but it's gonna be done a little bit later, right? So the first thing first, what we need to do, we need to basically look into event itself, rows, and see how it's implemented over there. So there's rows event data, yeah, any event data works. So let's see. So basically just rows event rows. What's interesting in this case is, like, do we differentiate between left or right? Probably what we can do even here, like, instead of a struct, to make it an enum, and we're gonna make it oh, I forgot how to define them, probably like that. So first we're gonna have single so let's say single row itself, so it's gonna be a small vec of such value and update. So let's say we're gonna have something like this, right? Do we want to have some other data on there? Maybe no, maybe no. Actually, forget about it. Just keep it simple, as it was like that before, because now I'm thinking about MySQL doesn't have really that good structure. So let's keep it struct. So here's some rows. So we'll need to create an iterator for it, right? So we need to create an iterator implementation. So we're gonna specify it's gonna be an option or not. So it's gonna return already an option, but what was in original? In original, when we look into the rows itself, so what it's doing, it returns an option, yes, but also there is an IO result, because it could be possible that there is an error of parsing, right? So let's put it there. Let's also use an AO result. Of a tuple of some of option, simple binary row, and option simple binary row. Okay. And lifetime. What is gonna be a lifetime of that one? What is the lifetime of ropes event? Does it just like inherit a lifetime? Oh, we just have a static lifetime. So probably we have to do the same to not overburden ourselves with values. Alright, so we're gonna convert it into the owned value because it's probably gonna be collected. So let's see. Here we go. Simple binary row. Okay. What it tells that I need to specify a lifetime. So I need to create here a lifetime parameter as a generic. Okay. So what I want to do, I also want to implement struct. Yeah, I want to implement simple binary row. I want to be able to instantiate it as well, right? So I'm gonna create a function new, and it actually is gonna be instantiated here. Maybe I also make it public. And what I'm gonna have there? I'm gonna have probably a slice, right, of values. So a slice of values. Like option of binlog value static. Right, it should be enough to instantiate our object. So it's gonna return back self. So self values are gonna be values into small vector. Probably it should work. I'm not 100% sure, but ideally it should. Let's see. So it compiles, it's already assigned that it should work. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna run an assert equals. So if I'm gonna run an assert equals, I wanna make sure that I can actually compare these values, So I'm gonna derive debug, and I'm gonna derive partial equal. Actually, we can just derive equal, right? So it will automatically derive also actual partial equal, right? And then I can run something like this, that let rows equal simple binary rows map, or just collect. Right, collect something like vector. So we're gonna collect a vector of values from iterator. Probably we don't want to have results, because results are not partial equal compatible. So we probably need also to do here a map. And the map is basically going to be result unwrapping. Okay, so we're doing result unwrapping. So we also need to do some default. But what is going to be a default for that? Probably we can do default, because ideally it should be compatible with default there. So do we have a proper vector now? Yeah, now we have a proper vector. So we now can compare rows of binary, simple binary row, new from values of binlog value of, oh, I forgot what was the value there. Nice. Okay, so I think we can take a look into that test, right? So we can see the test that generated for us some data. So it's gonna generate this kind of values, right? So we basically can convert those values okay, can it take something like 1? No, okay. And the funny thing that for this event, right, I know that there's gonna be only one, but I want to test both of them. So I'm gonna say sum after, but here, for instance, is gonna be, the first one will be known, but second one is gonna be, you know what? I want to create a function called binlog value, and then I'm gonna remove all of this boilerplate. So it's gonna be of type T, value T, and it's gonna be returning us back a binlog value. static, right? And what it's gonna do, I'm just gonna generate this thing with value of t into this value, so then I don't need to type in everything like this. I can just use something shorter. Okay, let's name it differently. Oh yeah, actually, you know what? Option. So let's just remove it more, make it more simpler. Okay, so the left side is none, the right side is sum, and the sum have a map of such values. Missing one more bracket. Okay, let's go here. Okay, looks good. Let's test it out. Okay, what it tells: unexpected end of macro invocation. Okay, I forgot to specify the value against which we actually compare. And we compare against rows. Let's see. Okay, what doesn't have this derive, which is missing derive? Compare simple binary row with, because no partial. Okay, so I still have to specify here partial compare. But failed with 2 errors. Okay. The trait bound is not satisfied because okay, probably I don't need any queue, but partial queue at least implemented. Okay, good. What else? Oh, okay. I like when I don't specify something, compiler actually suggests me what's my problem is. So let's import this value. Let's see. Hooray! It compiled. It's half of the work done. But we know that there are basically 2 items there, right? So there is another one for product number 2, right? That's equals to 99.99. Let's see. Okay, it's good. Let's just for now return none and see a failure message. It will tell us by the rules of TDD that we have basically something already running, so we didn't start testing a bunch of stuff, but it tells that left doesn't equal to right. Okay, why is this one is shown there? So let's run test. Good. It shows failure, and failure is correct because the results do not match. So let's start working on it. Now let's take some inspiration from the actual rows. The actual rows itself. This. Yeah, it's wrong file. I meant to go here. And let's take a look at the rows. Rows event rows. Okay, so row before, row after. I don't understand, like, why it's mutable here. Can't you just like assign a different value by changing the variable? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, because probably of if statements. Okay, I see. So if we have nothing, right, we just return empty, but we don't care about it. We care about this part. So columns before or after? I think after. So we take care of this part, then we take number of events, and that thing. We probably can just supply false for now because we don't care yet. Okay, let's set up in a similar fashion this thing. Let's do let left row equal none. Let me move to the right row equal to none too. Right, then if self. Oh yeah, now I remember what's the reason what we actually need to do. So we need to access the rows event, but also we need to store the data from the event. So we need to specify data, and it's gonna be a buffer of the same A. Right, and here then we can say, okay, that the data is gonna be parse buffer of rows event rows data. So it should work. So it should be ok, sum, ok, and then left row and right row. Oh, it should be a tuple of 2. Okay, let's see. Cannot return value referencing function parameter. What? But I already take it as a function parameter. Hey, that's bad. No. Why it tells? Rows event is borrowed here. Okay, I don't understand it. Okay. So, can we do something about it then? Let's check. So, we have a guest here. Just a moment. I'm gonna make a pause. I have a son coming over. Just a moment. So I'm back. Just a moment. Let's see. Rows event and rows data. Well, why it's like borrowed there? Do I need to specify something in a type? Well, let me check again how they instantiate those events. Let's see. Rows event data. rows itself. Okay. Creates new, creates... Ah, okay. So it is passed like that. Oh, I see. So I take an ownership of the event, and that's the problem. So I take the ownership instead of doing a reference. That's why. Now I understand. Okay. So never take an ownership of the thing. So we need to change this one to reference. And we need to change this one to reference, right? And here we need to change rows event to reference here. And can we specify something like that? Or it will complain again? Okay. Temporary value, okay. This is clear. So we need to specify something like this. With okay, data. And here then we specify the event like this. Will it work? Oh yeah. Here we go. Those rules. So here we are with the padding, but how does it work there? So when it creates an event, it references 0. Oh, but it passes actually. This one is an actual. Okay. Let's see. Again, I messed up. So let's fix it up. So it should be basically a parse buff of the event data. So it shouldn't be a reference. It should be an ownership of the parse buff, but inside of it, it's gonna contain a reference to something different. Okay, so now it works, but now it never ends because we actually don't parse anything, right? And so now it should just fail. Okay, good. So what we do there is now take the columns after, right? So this one. So we cannot do this thing. Do I do it if flat or I use something different here? Probably flat is fine. Flat some columns. Then what it does. It takes number of columns. Columns itself. Okay, so it basically just creates a context. And wait, rows after is basically an IO result. Oh yeah, because you return an error. It's not parsable. Okay, good. Rows. Right row. Then we have rows data. But there is no parse method, right? It should fail now. Yeah. Okay, what it cannot find. Cannot find value calls. Oh yeah, because it's columns. Okay, good. Table self table map event unknown field. Oh yeah, because I don't have such a field, right? I have it just as table. good. Now we just need to initialize it. Right, so we need to implement my deserialize for a rule, and we should be golden, right? Let's see. So here is how it deserializes stuff, right? Let's do something similar. So number of columns, and table info. So let's see. So we start with an empty vector. Let values equal to new with capacity of total number of columns, right? So total number of columns or table info column count, right? So something like that. And what do we return? We return simple binary row with those values. Okay. So we can just return back awk of self with self, right? With values. That's basically it. Okay, let's make it mutable so we can modify it. So we create a vector which will always contain the same amount of rows as table has. And this is probably how it's gonna be, and I think my test is actually wrong. Now, if I think about it... Oh, actually it's right. So it should have an entity ID there. its slice is not found. Why it doesn't suggest me to import it? Okay, can I do something like this? Proto. Okay. Let's see where it comes from. Maybe I need to specify that crate as a dependency, right? So I need to specify it. Okay, one more time. I have a sun coming. Okay, just a moment. I need to pump the ball of my son. So we'll be back in 10 minutes. So let's have a short break. Hello, hello, I'm back. Have put some air into the football of my son, so now can continue. Okay. Let's see. Where did I stop? So the bit slice, it's probably in some other crate. Yeah, so I need to also install the bitvac in order to be able to do my changes. So okay, bitvac. Which version it was? Slice. What was the version of it? 101. Okay. So let's see. Okay, it still cannot find it because I need to import it. Okay, I need to reload first. No. I just wanna do it. Yeah, reload for me cargo changes, please. Okay, how if we change a little bit the music? Make something more interesting. So let me check. I guess I subscribe to this Epidemic Sound, which provides some sort of copyrightable music for myself. Okay, so let's see. Do I have some funk? Because I feel like I wanna sleep with this music. Let's see. Bad that they don't have that kind of thing searchable. So there is jazz, there is K-pop, there is indie. Oh, interesting. Let's look what's in the just chatting. Let's try this one out. Okay, a little bit more fun. A little bit more upbeat. Okay. Let's import bit slice. Okay, yeah, stuff like that. Let's see, let's run it. Okay, it runs forever because it doesn't convert anything at the moment, right? Because I don't use any of the data. Then we look into binlog row itself. Deserialize. Okay. We have partial column. Partial columns are not interesting for us. So we have number of bits. This is the length of the bitmap. So it counts how many from the total columns there are, right? Then there is a sign s. And then you iterate over columns, but what is columns here? Right. Are those columns from table or not? So if we go here and we check, so the columns, the total number of columns is coming here from the event. Okay, so the columns are coming as a bit slice. But why does a person do count once? Right, so let's see. Rows event. Let's again take a look at binary row. So number of bits, it's okay, so here's why. Bitmap length, bitback from the bitmap. Okay, so this one happens in order to learn which in order to learn how long, how many items are actually null, right? And then this null bitmap is probably used somewhere there. If null bitmap get for the image of a column, right? Why the references at copies? It doesn't make sense. You could just do as the reference and then just or maybe copied is fine in that case for boolean value, but yeah, I still don't like it. Okay, if it has it, then it's true. This is very weird. Why the default is true then? Okay, let's see. So do we skip something here or not? So like, do we do anything else? I'm not sure that I'm gonna implement all this stuff because I assume I already have this information. Then I just go on and wrap partial columns Doesn't look very good, right? I don't like those kind of flags. So where it's used later. Okay, it's later used in order to provide the context, column type, meta, and unsigned. Okay, so what it does, it pushes a null value as the reference, but I don't understand one thing here. Why I don't see exactly which columns are set or not, because like if I have partial update, I wouldn't have all columns, but here, yeah, it does all the things like that. Okay, so it basically returns everything as null. But why? Image ID, it's what it's used for. Null bitmap, okay. So it takes an index of the null bitmap. It starts with this one. But okay, so it works for the columns. It finds a column itself. Is it in a column list? Okay, now I understand what it does. Only if it's in a column list, then it adds a value and then it increments it. Okay, so the columns is basically a bitmap that tells which columns are there. Okay. That's fine. But iter optional meta. So it's also some sort of a bit slice. Let's see where it's used. As reference, I don't like it. Is unsigned. Is unsigned equals if column is numeric type. Okay. Unsigned. This one looks like an operation that you could just read, because like there's a couple of places where it's used, so you could basically refactor it, because here it looks like just tons of copy paste, right? Here bitmap buffer. So it's mutable parser, right? So you just can pass it into the function. And then you create a vector. This is crazy. Okay, and here basically the same, right? No, over there it doesn't truncate it. So why it truncates it over there? Why it truncates it in that place? So here into iter and take. Okay. This is really like you can really wrap your hand around this piece of code and it will be hard to understand what's going on there. I think it's overcomplicated for no reason. Like, it's hard to read it, right? So can you really do something? So what is partial type meaning? Like, what is this thing is doing? This is crazy. Okay. But we probably will come back to that later, because we don't care yet about the partial. Okay, let's build something that we know for sure. So we know for sure that there is this sign-as information about the columns, right? Like, can we already in some way adapt this table info into something more interesting? Right, I already see that the table info, you need only a couple of things. You need to know which column is signed, which column of which type itself, right? So I don't need the actual table info, I just need part of its information. I just need to know for this one, okay, from a buffer. Yeah, so basically I need to calculate a couple of things here. This one is easy. Okay, why he truncates it? This one I don't understand. Because he already created it from a slice of bitmap buffer. Why the developer truncates it here? Because later this one is used get. If there is a value, then it's true. Otherwise it's just false, right? So let's probably take a look at it, right? So let's do some stuff here. Let's take so we don't care about this one, we care about this part, right? So we care about the bitmap. So let's go to our code here. Here we know that number of columns, right? Then we have a bit slice of columns, right? So we know which columns are provided to us. then we know the length of a bitmap. So what is the length of the bitmap itself? Okay, let's put a breakpoint here right before we are doing any truncation, and let's just run a debugger and let's see what kind of data we have there. So we have a null bitmap, okay, null bitmap is a vector, but I don't see a value. Okay, let's, you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna do print len of null bitmap to see what's going on there. Okay, let's restart. And let's go to a test view. Thread. And what's about the console? Does it output anything for us? Oh yeah, we need to step over. Is console just empty? Okay. Let's do this trick. And let's put a breakpoint here and let's restart. I just want to understand what's inside of that bitmap. Zero, 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 zero. So there's 8 bits. But what is the number of bits? But there is 4 bits. So why do we truncate? Because yeah, like I understand, like you supply it with this amount of data. Like your bitmap length is equal to 1. So number of bits is 4. Because there is basically 4 columns, right? Then you parse this stuff. But bit vector contains eight bits. So yeah, it's just fine. Okay, it should be okay then. I think I don't need truncation. So what does truncate method do? Truncate probably just truncates, right? So we have bit vector of 5 values, we truncated to 2, and then it's only 2 values. So yeah, it's example of truncating a 5-bit vector to 2 bits. This is weird. So as I see, there's basically all zeros. So maybe it makes sense to truncate, but then why don't truncate it for other case? That one I don't understand. Okay, we'll take a look at it later. Because he needs to mutate it only because he truncates it. Okay, so let's just remove mutation, or let's just remove truncate. Okay. Then what do we have? We have check which table fields are assigned or not. But why it's a bit slice, iter optional meta, find and map of find map of field itself. Okay, so it's again a slice of bits. Okay, let's take a look. The number of bytes needed for this is column count plus 7 divided by 8. Okay, so the standard thing with MySQL. Are there any other ways to do it? Okay, let's do a small refactor. Right, so let's create stuff that we only need. So we need to know the columns itself of the event, and we need to know just general number of columns. Why do we use table info there? So this one actually can be simplified a lot, right? So we just can know the number of columns in the event, but for rows itself, right? So we do go here, columns before, we take a look at number of columns, but columns are bit slice. Okay, so table map event then is used here. And then inside of the row, table info, like it only needs to know which columns are unsigned, and it needs to know some other stuff from a column. But we can actually abstract it away because we don't need it. And then what we have as well here, so num calls, again I lost that one. Yeah, it's just number of columns in a table. Okay. Okay. Returns rows data. Why then the table info is needed? So let's see one more time where is table is used. Table info is used to find the column type and column meta. But for what? What is used with this column meta? Okay. So what it returns? It returns just some bytes. Okay. So it's used for some parsing. So it's partial column type. I don't understand it. Why partial columns are taking number? So it takes an iterator with total number of JSON columns. Okay, that's clear. But why it's an iterator? Why? Because it's basically the same as truncate. Basically, you can achieve the same with truncate, right? You can just access get instead of, you know, like doing this stuff. It doesn't make sense. Like, why do you combine iterator with a bit mask access, because like, don't do it. So let's read a little bit about this partial JSON update structure. Let's see. So row itself, we have so what do I do here? If value options contains this bit, then what do we do here? Sorry, one more time. My son is here. Just a moment. Okay, I'm back. So it's actually interesting to take a look at the slides, but yeah, let's not go too far in future. So for now, bitmap, sinus of a column. So this is basically gets us a bit slice. But then can we do something with it? Okay, sorry. I think I have to stop a stream today, unfortunately, because my son wants to go to play, so I cannot resist his temptations to go. Okay, guys. I think, yeah, I'm gonna check what I can do with it. Probably off stream later tonight. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the stream. There was a new guy here joining us and asking some questions, so that was good. And thank you everyone who joined the stream today. Feel free to leave a comment next time when you're watching. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.